Hi there, good evening. I'm kicking off this evening with a beautiful live. All my live sessions are beautiful and I'm very subjective towards that. But this is an exceptional live because I'm going to be taking an entrepreneurial point of view today. Most of the live sessions that we do concentrate a lot on retail and retail practices, but I wanted also to give the opportunity for us to understand more about fashion brands from an entrepreneurial point of view. So I'm going to meeting with Gilles today to talk about his brand, the brand story, and the future of the brand. However, we're going to be talking a lot on the brand's debut, how it started, the interest in the industry, the advantages, disadvantages, everything that he has faced in terms of obstacles in the industry, etc. These are important things for those who are interested in this channel and in all of the topics that we cover to learn more about fashion and about the industry, and to understand that even though the industry is always portrayed as a beautiful industry, it is not very easy for fashion brands to set up, kick off, launch, and sustain on the market. So I'm going to be inviting in Gilles to kick off with this conversation, and he's going to be telling us all about his brand. So, Gilles, I believe that we are going to be sharing the screen right now. Hey, hello.
Hi there.
How are you? And welcome to your first Instagram live.
Yeah, it's my very first experience, so hopefully it's not going to be too bad. Technically, it seems to be working so far, which is already a good start, isn't it?
That's a good sign, exactly. Thank you for joining me in, and I believe that you're in Brussels right now.
I am indeed.
Thank you for joining me again. And I did like the little intro, but I kick off naturally the live sessions with my with the people who I'm inviting. So I'm giving the floor to you, first of all, to introduce us about yourself and then about your brand.
Yeah, thank you so much. My background is very simple. So I studied engineering, nothing to do really with fashion, but and started my career, first part of my career in finance.
I hope that we're not going to be losing you, Gilles. There's a little glitch on your end, it seems. I will be trying to re-invite you in. Oh, I believe that we're back on again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there.
It's okay.
It was a bit swift saying that everything seemed to be technically working. Background is engineering. I started my career in finance, mostly corporate finance, M&A and strategy, and then decided at some point that it was probably good to find a job that made sense to me. And in 2012, I launched the first brand. It's a shirt brand that still exists, but I've sold over a few years ago. So we were focusing on men's shirts. I like to be a specialist, really do one thing, but do it very well. And this makes sense in the current brand that I lead, which is called Bertel. At Bertel, we specialize in men's braces. For those that are not familiar with men's braces, that's what I'm wearing at the moment. So basically, we do only that, and this is really the focus of the brand.
And having a niche market and a niche brand comes sometimes with some difficulties, I believe, on the market, right?
It is a very strong advantage in some ways, because it's much easier to target your markets. Typically, the experience I had with the shirt brand is our competitors were massive brands between, I don't know, Ralph Lauren or Tommy Hilfiger, those sort of brands. So it's very difficult to compete against those massive brands, but at the same time, the market is much bigger. For a niche brand, we don't compete against such big players, but at the same time, the market is much more dispersed and difficult to find sometimes.
Right. We'll be talking about that in a few. However, so going back to that initial decision of joining the fashion industry and moving away from engineering, is it a passionate decision, or was there also a know-how that you wanted to employ or deploy when you started your brand?
If I look back enough, it's probably linked hardly to the experience I've had. So when I was a kid, my mom launched a fashion brand, a clothing brand for kids, and I grew up in that context. So I was surrounded by clothes and photo shoots and those sort of. It was a made-to-order thing, so logistics and all those aspects were very familiar to me. So I think there's part of it is definitely there. Then there was this creative industry that I was very much interested in as well. And so, working in engineering and finance is not always as creative as I wanted. So it's also heading towards a more creative industry.
Okay, thank you for that. And did you feel at first that there were things that you needed, like tools or know-how that you needed to launch your brand? Did you feel that there was something missing, like a know-how, a capital, or a certain a piece of knowledge that you didn't have at the time of the brand's kickoff or launch?
Definitely. Especially with the first brand, of course, because the second, then you've had enough time to acquire that knowledge and the network, yes, and all. But the first one that I launched, I barely knew anything. The bag souvenirs that I had from my childhood were almost all I knew about the fashion industry. Designing a product, producing it, marketing it, is all things that I didn't know. So the first brand I launched, I decided to launch it with business partners with expertise in the industry. And honestly, without them, I wouldn't have done it. I had one business partner that had massive experience in marketing and sales in the fashion industry, and the other one in design and production. So I was a bit the hands of the brand and the young craziness, if I may say, but they had the expertise and the knowledge without which I wouldn't have been able to launch that brand back in 2012, to be honest.
Right. And the question sometimes that most of the people could ask fashion entrepreneurs, is it cool, or is it easy, or is it like beautiful to start working on a fashion brand, or sometimes it might seem like very difficult and maybe look like hell?
If I remember the early days, I didn't have an office because I didn't have the money to spend on an office. So I would stock everything at home.
Yeah.
And if you ask my wife, honestly, we had a friend's bedroom that actually was a stock. So we had thousands and thousands of shirts in the flat here in Brussels. And for the two first seasons, that's how we were dealing with the stock. And then after the third season, when the third season came, at some point we had the stock coming in, and was like, that's not going to fit in the flat. So I had to, very quickly find another place to stock. So all those aspects, when I look back, honestly, it's very fun. It's 10 years ago, that's good memories. But at the moment, that wasn't that easy, to be honest. And that's only part of it. When you have stock, when you have debt, it's all those aspects that can be difficult. And when you when you know very well what you're doing, sometimes it's difficult to sleep at night, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that as well in a few. And I'm curious to know that about the shirt brand. At first, when you started that brand, was it intended to sell at one shop, or there was an intention to grow more into the retail operation?
Especially with the shirt brand, because we were producing big quantities, we had to find other stores to sell. Because we decided to go to high-end producers in Turkey, but the minimum quantities they would ask were quite important.
High.
So we would produce, for every fabric that we were producing 250 shirts. And to have a collection, you need to have, what, 15, 20 shirts minimum. So that's a lot. And when you start, there's not a single chance that you can sell that yourself through your own store and your web shop. It's almost impossible. So from the day one, we knew we would sell through a network of retailers. Same for the braces, to be honest, because it's a niche. We need to find partners, and especially because Bartel is much more international than the shirt brand was. So we have resellers in the US, in Canada, in Japan, in China, in a few European countries. And I mean, we wouldn't reach those customers if we didn't have those.
On your own.
Yeah, exactly. Even through a website, sometimes difficult. So yeah, having a network of retailers has always been part of both projects, actually.
Okay, thank you. And this is another thing that I wanted to ask you about. Most of the times we have entrepreneurs saying, okay, I have the idea, I have the collection, and I'm starting my Instagram page or social media page and linking back to my website. And we see ourselves not selling as much as we want. And now you're raising that very important point. The eShop alone, even in a very digitalized world today, is not enough, right? And so how difficult is it to go and find partners who would also believe in your brand and reselling your brand?
It's the same as an end customer. If you have a brand story that makes sense, that fits also with the partners that you're going to talk to, then they will join. It's not easy, it takes time. You need to identify the right ones. You need to convince them. Remember, with the shirts, there was one store that I loved, and I really wanted to work with them. And I went once and showed my first collection, or was it the second, maybe, whatever. And the guy said, well, not interested, but don't hesitate to contact me next season, which I did. And so went with the second season. The guy looked at the collection and said, interesting, I think I can sort of see where you're heading. It's not for me yet, but come with the third season. And when we came with the third season, the guy said, yeah, I know where you're going now, and this fits with my store, and I'm gonna take you on board. So sometimes it really takes a bit of time. You need to know where you want to go. You need to be able to tell your story, and the collections need to speak for itself as well, of course.
Right. And this is really an important point that you're raising here, like consistency with the concept, right? And consistently communicating the concept throughout the season. Yeah. And I don't know if you had other entrepreneurs sharing stories with, but sometimes we get like tired along the way, and we might deviate from that initial story, right? And we start doing like different types or different styles that do not convey to the initial brand identity, and we might get lost along the way. So it's beautiful that you have raised it. And I invite everyone anyway to go to your Instagram page, yet alone that we'd understand the look and feel of the brand and the brand's ethos. And we'll be talking about that in a few. So we talked a little bit about the brand's distribution and communications channels, online and offline. Have you also thought about alternative retail formats, such as maybe temporary retail, or going to exhibitions, or doing showrooms?
Once again, very different for the two brands that I've led. For the shirts, we did some pop-up stores because we had a very local audience. Loads of clients here in Brussels or in Belgium. It makes sense to have a pop-up store. While if you coming from typically with the braces with customers that are really widespread globally, it makes less sense. But we do probably 15% of our sales here in Belgium, so it's really not doesn't really make sense for us to do a pop-up store. Even the store that we have here in Brussels is only on appointment. So you need to contact us beforehand before coming to the store, and it works well. I mean, the people understand that very well and don't mind too much, and it works well enough. And there is a sense of exclusivity as well, because you come in and you have all the time you need because you have an appointment. So there's not going to be anyone else involved while you're there. So that works well. For the showrooms, we did some fairs, international fairs with the braces in Paris and in Amsterdam, which worked well, but not exactly with the positioning we wanted to be. So the idea of braces is really, we want to have a high-end handmade product. And so it's not going to be sold in concept stores that are selling loads of different things and changing products on a regular basis. It's really on specific stores. And we haven't found yet the fair that is made for us. There are some, and I've a list of a couple that I'm interested in, one in the US and one in Europe. So we will probably go back to fairs in a couple of years, within a couple of years, probably.
Right, hoping that the situation eases down a little bit.
Definitely.
And would you believe that at a certain point you could go into products that are complementary to the suspenders or to the vertel, or you would like to really stay focused on one item and one type of collection?
This is a question that we've had since day one, to be honest, because for everyone, the market for braces seems so small that people didn't really understand. What I want to do is really be a specialist. If I start to do on top of the braces, if I start to do belts and bow ties and ties and cufflinks and whatever, I'm just going to be an accessories brand. And there's hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of accessories brands around the world. So there's no point. I mean, we won't stand out if we start doing different accessories. So the idea is really to specialize in the braces, but even more than that, we actually specializing in casual braces. So it's even a part of the braces market. So if we extend at some point, we may extend to the full market of braces.
Right.
The forward side of it, but probably not outside the braces. What I see, at least, it's not going to be outside the braces.
And then the question I believe that most of us would ask, does specializing as much allow the brand to sustain, or generate enough to sustain? Because I'm curious, if someone bought a braces or a pair maybe for the season, would he buy more than that throughout the year?
Honestly, I thought that you would only have a couple of pairs of braces. If you want braces, you would only have a couple of pairs in your closet. I was completely wrong. Our clients, the people that like our product, they buy on a regular basis. I've had clients that have bought over 10 pairs and buy more. So it's once again, it's a very niche market, but we can only do that in a digital world. And by being global, we wouldn't be able to survive if our first market, most important market, is France, and then we have Belgium, of course, and the third one is Germany. With those three markets at this stage, we wouldn't survive. So we need to be global, and therefore we need to be present digitally. Otherwise, that wouldn't work.
And how is this digital presence helping the brand expand elsewhere? Do you believe that with communications, and you're going to explain to me if communications are being market oriented or more global and open, is it expanding the reach of the brand on other continents, maybe Asia and North America, let's say?
And definitely, the communication speaks to our audience globally. We part of certain amount of brands that originate from somewhere, but that are present globally. And this is what Bartel is going to become. It's a brand that is made in Brussels, made in Belgium, but that is present globally, and I think it's the only way forward. And the way the people take notice. If you in Australia or in Greece, for example, I sent over a pair to Greece for the first time today. That person noticed us through our social presence. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And most of the brands that are producing today in Europe say that it's expensive to operate and produce in Europe. Is this the case for your brand, or is it a good thing? Actually, is it helping you control quality and keep the quality as you wanted and not affecting so much the end retail price of your product?
I mean, producing in Europe is expensive. I mean, compared the price I could get, because I'm contacted on a regular basis by producers in China or in Asia, in India, for example. We could produce for much lower price if we decided to go that way, and therefore be more competitive. And there's some of our competitors that have decided to go that way. I don't believe that makes sense for us, and we're quite transparent on that. So the retail price of our braces is high end as well, and people that buy from us need to understand that, and they do. And I think I visited one of our producers, one of the partners that we've been working with from the start, and he told me that actually is getting more and more orders from European brands that used to produce in Asia. So I think there's, wouldn't say a global comeback of the production to Europe, but at least part of the production is coming back. And when I was asking him if he thought that was just because the struggle with the global supply chain at the moment, he said, I think it's partly because of that, but he said, nonetheless, I think it's here to stay. So he was very optimistic. And honestly, I've known him for years now. He's not the sort of person that tends to be all the time optimistic. So I think there's really a comeback to a part of the production in Europe, at least. But producing in Europe doesn't mean quality by default. I mean, you can produce in Europe and really having low quality. And I mean, I was having a chat the other day with friends and about the fast fashion movement. And to be honest, I was taken into the fast fashion trend without even noticing. And I think we all were at some point. The thing is, at some point, I bought a pair of navy trousers because that's what I wear. And then a year and a half afterwards, that pair of trousers was not in good shape anymore, so I bought another pair. And then I got used to the fact that my pair of trousers would last only a year and a half. Why, when I was younger, I would buy a pair of trousers and I would keep it for 5-10 years. And this is something that we got used to at some point without even noticing. And then at some point I opened my cupboards and I noticed that I had 5 pairs of trousers, exactly the same sort of navy blue. And I didn't even know where they were coming from. I would just 5 pairs. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. I could have one good pair of them. But then you need to look for that, and that takes a lot of time. This is my job, so I enjoy it, and finding the right brands and the right producers that are able to offer you quality that will last. But this is not, if you don't spend time to look for that, you just won't find it.
Yeah, and this is one of the points that we intended to discuss today. I mean, today's customers are more accustomed and more ready to accept this idea that we don't have to consume a lot to be okay, and that it's okay to buy a small amount of things that are made to last, and they are good and are made to last. And this came a lot with these talks and prevailing talks about sustainability and sustainable fashion, etc. And so, does the brand's ethos stand also on the concept of making and making to last?
I mean, definitely. And this is the huge switch I've had since I moved to the fashion industry. Because when I came in, the shirt brand, I mean, the quality, this one is still one of the shirts that I've produced back in those days. And I've been wearing it for probably 5 years now. And it's still very good. So it was quality. But the more production, excess production, because we couldn't sell, most of years we couldn't sell as much as we were producing, so we were forced to discount the shirts every season, and then produce more, and then this whole concept of more and more and more all the time. And with the brace, it's completely different. I mean, I've never done sales because I don't need to. I mean, why would I sell with those navy braces for a discount while I'm going to sell them tomorrow if I don't sell them today? So we've never done sales. I don't say we will never, because I think the sales are there for very good reasons. If you have stock that needs to go because you're not going to produce the same product no more, and you need to turn over that stock and not having it sleep in the corner of your warehouse, then the sales make sense. So I'm not criticizing the whole concept of sales, but I'm criticizing the people that are selling white shirts at a discount while those white shirts would be very good next season. And that for me is really in sustainable. What is sustainable fashion? To be honest, sustainable fashion is probably less fashion at all, and that's probably we need to buy less of everything, and that's where sustainable fashion is gonna be less and made to last more. And what I hope is the braces that I'm selling is that the people would be able to enjoy them for many years to come. And that's if I succeed in that, making a product that is high quality that people wear, then I think I've done good.
Yes, exactly. And it would be, I think, a little stepping stone for us accustoming again customers towards the idea of accepting that it's okay to buy things to last.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very young and drawn towards consumption like no other, because it was a universe that blew us away. But now all of these things, we are taking a step back and revising them and thinking, wow, what have we've been doing for quite so long? And it's very interesting. So yeah, thank you for explaining so clearly about that term, because most of us, I believe, still have very confusing definitions of what sustainability could be, or how we could change our practices and come closer to more sustainable practices. So now let's talk a little bit about the communications. What type of social media channels or channels in general do you choose to communicate, and what is the main idea communicated, or the style, the guiding style of your communications?
So in terms of presence, we use mostly Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Those are the main social medias we use, because I think that's where most of our customers are present. In terms of advertising, what we do is mostly Facebook, because that's where we get the most return on investment. Instagram doesn't work as well for us in terms of returns. In terms of brand awareness, it works well, but in terms of return, it's less interesting. And the natural diffusion of content on LinkedIn is unbeatable compared to what we get on Facebook or Instagram, for example. The reach is extremely good.
And on LinkedIn, do you convey the same message with the same style that you do on? And what's the difference then between this and that?
What we've accepted is that on Facebook, what we post, we slightly adapted from what's posted on Instagram. So basically it's the same on Facebook and Instagram. With LinkedIn, it's different. We post less, and we try to make it more, we try to make a message more linked to the world of business. So it's going to be, if there's a news that is linked to business, we will share it there. If it's less going to be purely linked to style and fashion. It's really, we try to have more to say than just something linked. So for example, if there's a press article that is about the brand, we'll definitely post it on LinkedIn. That's where it should be diffused. I mean, definitely. And if there's a partnership that makes sense, it's going to be on LinkedIn. So those sort of content we post on LinkedIn as well, with a specific message.
Thank you. And most of us think that communications like are easy things to do, especially if it's a small brand. Like it's fun, yeah, I'm going to communicate like now on Instagram or Facebook. But tell us more about the planning or the process that you put into communicating. Do you do it on your own, or do you have team
I work
members?
with a partner that is brilliant. I've been working with her for a while now. She used to work for full time for the company, but because of the current situation, she moved to another position, but still works on the side with us, thankfully. And she's really good and helped me planning the post and the content. The challenge is mostly the content creation, because it's if you want to post pictures, you need to have those pictures, and you can't. I mean, producing them yourself is a challenge. So I wouldn't typically do if you visit the Instabartel account, you'll quite quickly notice that I'm not developing the raw content on myself. So what we needed to find was more partners that we develop the content with, because the written content I do myself, but the photo shoots we do, some of them are done by us entirely, but we also have partners that produce content for us, and that is very difficult to find, because you need to find the right people. And there's tons of so-called influencers that offer they're happy if you send them a product, they're happy to develop content for you. But as a matter of fact, they don't care about the brand, they don't care about the ethos or the values or anything. So what you need to do is find the people that share those with you. And this is a challenge. This takes years. I mean, for me, it took years. Honestly, if you look back at the Instagram before 2018 or somewhere 2017, you will quickly understand that we struggled to find the right partners to develop the content with.
Right, and this is really like what you're saying now is really interesting, and I'm thinking along, and it's an important thing to find like the right people, especially that the ones who could understand the brand and the brand story. And as you are talking about it, and I was imagining how difficult sometimes it is to put a small team even together to work towards the same purpose or to convey the same message. And now here you say it, and wow.
But this is something I've lived with for a while, because if you talk about men's braces, most of the people will hear formal, because the image we have is suit ties and braces. Or really formal attire, but that's not what we do. I mean, our braces can be worn with a suit and they're fine, but what we try to do is I mean, braces that you can wear every day, like with a t-shirt, with a whatever, with a pair of jeans, don't mind. The idea is those braces are comfortable and they're stylish, and they're not made to be formal. And this is something I face really hard to, and I'm still every day. I mean, most of the time when I speak about the braces, the people are talking about suit producers or tie merchants, and
there's still a stereotype, you know.
Exactly. And every time I'm just like, but our braces are made to be worn every day. They're not made to be worn by corporate guys or by I mean, the caricature of the New York broker, you know what I mean, the Wall Street guy. I mean, yes, if he wants a pair of braces, but we also making those braces. I mean, we took inspiration from the workwear braces to create the collections that we're offering. So it's not a posh product. It's a product for normal people, and this is the message for me, the most difficult for the people to come across is really to understand there's another world that the formal places.
Yeah, and you have come a long way to get to that point with the brand. How satisfied are you today with what you've done, and what are the next steps that you're going to take to develop the brand?
We've come a long way, but there's still a long way ahead of us. And I'm very proud of what we do. And when when I received this, I was talking about that order from Greece. I'm very happy to see that. This week alone, we've shipped braces to Canada, to France, to Belgium, to Greece, and where? The UK. So that's for this week. I'm very proud of that, and I can see that the people are coming back and asking questions and try to understand. And I've had visitors to the studio as well. So the people understand that, and they seem to understand better and better what we're trying to achieve. So this means that my message is coming across well. So that's very good news. We still have to push, and there's plenty of ways I want to. So there's new collections I want to develop. I have a few ideas of what I would like to work on. Plus, the ultimate dream would be to be able. We have a studio in the center of Brussels, and the ultimate dream would be to be able to produce some of our braces there. But that is still a long way ahead of us.
But it's interesting, like a type of atelier that does the braces in store. Why, it's a nice idea, and it would go back to like these types of concept stores, directly personalizing or customizing items in front of the customers. I wanted to ask whether at a certain point you had a struggle. I don't know if you're working with other team members on the personal relationship with customers. Did you go through like a phase of training for those who work directly with customers to teach them about the brand and how to convey the brand's identity and products and explain it to customers? Did you go through that type of training, or are you always in contact with the direct consumers who come across your brand?
Nowadays, I'm really the point of contact. So I'm really deal with this message. But it's strictly, I've worked with some people and some team members. Always, they always meant well. I mean, they always try the best. But what I've learned is, it can be difficult to really put your shoes into the brand if it's not part of what you would consume. Mm-hmm. And I've had team members that wouldn't have bought braces because they're not really into the world. I mean, we part of a certain movement of the men's fashion industry, and if you're not really into that, you're not really interested in that, then it can be difficult to understand and therefore to share the message with others. So I've had challenges on that side in the past with team members.
Right. I hope that when the team grows, you will get more people sharing the same vision and the same love for the brand, which is really important, as you say. Yeah. Gilles, I don't know if I believe I've covered all of the questions that I wanted to ask about the brand and about its development and about its future. Is there anything else that you would like to add onto this conversation?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well. It's really just a word maybe about the future of fashion as I see it, or as I hope it. I think we need to go back to consuming more reasonably, and therefore we need to learn to love our clothes and our style and our wardrobe more, and not just in out like we come accustomed to, and if we successful in that, we'll get back those pieces that we create memories with, that we live with, and that get old with us. And if we get back to that, I think fashion is going to be more sustainable in the coming years.
Well, thank you for putting it this way, and I hope that we all get to that point in time, and sometime very soon, I hope. Thank you so much, Gilles. I hope that you enjoyed your first Instagram Live.
I did. I hope so. I hope the people that joined us did as well, to be honest.
I believe so. Sometimes the audience is more reserved and shy. And we invite everyone, as usual, to go directly to your page or to the website. I will be sharing it in the stories soon. And we'll be resharing this interview on YouTube and IGTV so that all of those who joined a little bit later could access the conversation from the beginning. Thank you so much, Gilles, for doing this. And I wish you all the luck with the brand's future.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.